Hello everyone, my name is Mina and I like to draw and ramble about films as well. And the film I wanted to discuss today was Studio Ghibli's Ponyo. Now, a little bit of context, Ponyo was the beginning of my spiral down the rabbit hole of Studio Ghibli films, and especially how they achieve that Studio Ghibli effect, especially with the female protagonists, how they just have the beauty of the mundane, and they're very grounded true role models. Not because they kick ass or define gender norms or anything like that, but because they are adaptable, accepting, and simply, well, human. And I just lay awake on my bed after watching Ponyo for a good hour and be like, somehow this crazy, absurd plot of a film that I've never watched until now has managed to be a childhood memory directly picked from my brain. And that's actually what I wanted to discuss today about how Ponyo really captures childhood, at least from my own childhood experiences, which were overall positive. I saw this really good video by Shni, and he spoke about how the female protagonists of Studio Ghibli films are spiritual heroes, as in their strengths come from their more feminine qualities. And one thing in particular he said that I think really stands out to Ponyo as a film is how they're not really neurotic as characters, like how we are in the real world, stressing about crazy things and easily getting overwhelmed or overthinking as well. But rather there's this sense of calmness. And I feel like that calmness especially applies to being a kid, at least from my own experience from childhood. Nowadays I understand life is a lot more stressful than it was, but when I was a kid it was just a lot simpler, oh, here's a shiny rock, let's go pick it up and take it home, or oh, let's play in the sand now. And there's just a very go with the flow attitude and way of perceiving life. And I feel like Ponyo, especially the characters, have that go with the flow mentality as well. They're definitely not neurotic characters, and even the plot as well is just very go with the flow. This is what's happening now, let's just sail along with it. And as you do sail along with it, everything's this little magical and fantastical adventure. Probably why there's more magical features in the film. And I know Ponyo is a children's film, as in it's a children's film made specifically for children, and it embodies what it is like to be a child, therefore it has children in mind. Whereas a lot of children's films or kids' films from Western cartoons are just bright colours and lol random jokes, and it's just the plot is all over the place and it's just so chaotic, and then they sprinkle in these crude jokes for adults so they pay attention or something like that. What, I don't get it. It's just a bombardment of bright colours, whereas this film is simple and it's made for children because what I said earlier, it encapsulates what it is to be a child, rather than just being oh, kids like bright colours, so let's put some bright colours. Rather, there's a lot of thought behind Ponyo, I feel like. It's trying to speak out to children that age and trying to capture how they see the wonder in the world, rather than just having crazy shenanigans for the sake of shenanigans, because children have a short attention span. So, talking about the characters, obviously there's one obvious thing. This film definitely has that found family trope that I eat up like no one's business, and I just love it so much because the characters are just so accepting, and there's no awkwardness or disdain just for no reason, which is so prevalent in the real world today. I know these characters are children, but even the adult characters like Lisa, they make friendships like children do. Like I just remember being in the playground and you'd be like, oh, my favourite colour is this, and another kid will be like, oh, haha, no way, mine too, let's go play together. And that's just all it was, besties for life sort of thing. And I feel all the characters really encapsulate that kind of experience as well. They're just very accepting, especially the star of the show herself, Ponyo. Ponyo is definitely the pinnacle definition of everything I've just mentioned, and she definitely captures the go with the flow and doing this things for the sake of exploration, which of course children at that age, that's how they learn. So I think it's really important that they captured that exploration aspect of it. But another point I like about Ponyo as well is how she captures that gremlin energy that children sometimes have. I feel a lot of children, especially little girls in the media, they're just kind of cutesy for the sake of being cutesy, and they go ruh instead of what. Or wait, no, it's the other way around. Anyway, you get the point. It's just, oh, they say cute things because they're a cute character because they're a little kid, and it's kind of more of a gimmick than an actual human being. Whereas kids in real life, they're very they to explore a lot, and sometimes that almost comes across as a little gremlin, just, oh wow, I've never discovered this before, let's just pull it in my mouth then. But rather than like, you know, like that random humor I was mentioning earlier, it's more like for the sake of exploration and stuff like that, and more having that toddler mentality. And another thing I liked about Ponyo as well is how like she learns language of the other characters as well. I think that's like very accurate to how children in real life, or children with limited language learn as well, like by repeating or mimicking words as well. So that's just like a little aspect that it's not necessary to my thesis, but like I don't know, I just think it's really cute. Okay, moving on to our next character, we've got Sosuke. Now, ironically, I think Sosuke fits into that more of like what I was talking about earlier, like that child that's cute and like more of a gimmick, like they're very respectful and like very restrained compared to how like actual children are. Um, which I know is a bit ironic, and I'm not hating on those types of characters, it's just more common compared to like characters like Ponyo, which is actually more common in real life, if that makes sense. It's a bit of like a flip, if that makes sense. But back to Sosuke, he's definitely fits or will grow into like that generic like Ghibli male who's always like respectful, like, and I love that for the both of them. I think it teaches a lot of important things for children as well, like in any type of like friendship or relationship. Like he just has many important characteristics. You know, he's very respectful, and he helps Ponyo to learn and teach her like life skills and stuff like that. And I think it's just really sweet and wholesome in general. I just like it a lot. And I know it fits into more of the Ghibli trope, but you know, it's a trope for a reason. It works, I guess. But I also think like Sosuke definitely matches that like thing I was talking about earlier, how he's not neurotic, like he's very calm and also has that go with the flow mentality that all the characters really have anyway. Like when he first meets Ponyo, you know, he's like just exploring the ocean and like not aware that like the literal ocean is chasing him, like he's just looking at his new discovery. Definitely having that sense of adventure and just go with the flow, just thinking about the next thing in whatever he's doing right now, rather than like, you know, the stress we sometimes feel as adults where we get easily overwhelmed. I think Ponyo and Sosuke are at the heart of the film. This represent the theme the most. However, the supporting cast also do this. I've already spoken or mentioned Lisa anyway, but I think mainly Ponyo's dad, like he's the more of a traditional antagonist, and his views are more neurotic and directly oppose Ponyo in the traditional antagonist way. And I think that still adds to the theme because obviously he represents adulthood and the neurotic feeling and stress we have in adulthood compared to the other characters which more represent childhood. I don't really have much to say about the plot regarding the theme other than it's just very imaginative and almost as if like a child would have wrote it. So in true Ghibli, I don't mean that as an insult, I mean like this magical scene that has no explanation to it whatsoever. And this little fish escapes and is just sunbathing, not realising she's drifting away from home. And I'll be honest, I've done that so many times myself. It's a very kid thing to do, to just wander about and end up getting lost. Because when we meet Sosuke, he just finds Ponyo and he's like, ooh, this thing is pretty, it's mine now. And like when he's running away from like, you know, the literal ocean, he doesn't realise that it's chasing him. And it's like, you know, the literal ocean is right there, but okay, Sosuke. So Ponyo's dad is obviously looking for her, but we don't have time for that because Lisa and Sosuke have to go to their places of work. And like with this car journey, which is absolutely crazy by the way, I do not want to be in the same car as Lisa when she's driving. We say that neurotic versus non-neurotic mindset, where Lisa's mind is all over the place, however Sosuke is just in his own little world, very focused on just one thing. So we meet the older ladies that Lisa cares for as her job, and Sosuke showing them his new discovery. But one lady's like, superstitious, tsunami and stuff like that, so he has to take her away, and I think it's just like a really cute little scene, nice character development as well. And then we get back to Ponyo's dad. He gets Ponyo back as well, and we get some exposition about this weird well in the ocean that when full of water, the ocean will take over the planet. And it just reminds me of when I used to play mermaids in the pool or something like that. Like, it's an idea that really captures something a child would come up with, like magic, fish, and the end of the world and stuff like that. Back to the plot, Ponyo escapes this time with a mission, literally transforming into this weird frog bird thing. In the process of trying to reach Shosuke, of course she fills up that magical well which I just mentioned earlier and causes absolute chaos with the weather. But the scene where they meet up is really cute, and it's just like really chilled and cozy afterwards. And again, you get to see Ponyo and Sosuke being like as normal kids do, like having little fun and adventures in the simple things of life. So the next day, Lisa just straight up leaves to go for work. Like, okay, Lisa, these are like 5-year-old children, but never mind. Um, and then the world is flooded when they wake up, and it's just like, okay, I get that Sosuke and Lisa live on the hill, but like, what about the rest of the world? I guess it's just a lot of go with the flow logic. Like, I hope nobody's like drowned if they like don't live on like a cliffside or something like that. So following Ponyo and Sosuke, the whole fate of the world relies on them. And when we get to like this magical bubble near the exposition from Ponyo's mom, who's very ethereal by the way, love that for her. And she's like, Sosuke, you have to love Ponyo, even though she's like a fish. And of course he does, and it's a happy ending and stuff like that, which is all just like a lot of craziness to like take in. But I think once you boil it down, it's just fish meets boy, fish likes boy, and fish becomes human too. And I think it's like a really simple story, but the way it's told is very childlike and imaginative, and you really just go along with the flow, suspending your disbelief. So, obviously, the art of a Studio Ghibli film is absolutely gorgeous. You don't need me to tell you that. But one thing in particular that I like about Ponyo that links with my thesis statement is that the art, especially the backgrounds, like you can tell they had like a childlike quality to them. Like a lot of the textures are like almost as if like it was done with a crayon or a pencil crayon, which is an art supply a child would have more readily available to them, such as at school or nursery, as we see Sosuke is at. And I think that like adds that childlike quality, almost as if these drawings are straight from a child's imagination. Another way the art has that childlike quality to it is through Ponyo's and Sosuke's character designs. For example, Ponyo's like fish form is it's almost like a child's drawing as well as her like half fish, half human form as well. It's like something a child would have drawn. Like you know how they draw a face and then like the arms and legs coming out of the face instead of an actual body? And also their outfits when they are in human form. Of course, all animated films have like simple character designs. However, it does remind me of how a child would draw themselves with block colours and simple shapes and dresses as well. Anyway, to conclude, I think that Ponyo is a really good kids film. Nowadays, that term kind of refers to a film that's like, low effort, and because, well, children won't care. But media itself is creativity and an art form, so I think it's just so unfair for something to be so expressive and imaginative by nature to be treated with such a low effort mentality. But when I refer to Ponyo as a kids film, I mean it was a film specifically made for children as the target audience, and you can see that through the characters' themes and overall execution, that the team were constantly asking questions during production such as, is this relatable to children and is this how they perceive the world? And I think that's just so important but unfortunately rare because everyone deserves good media no matter what age they are. Anyway, that's all for today. I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and there are definitely more Studio Ghibli films I want to explore and discuss in the future, as well as some of my own personal projects and ideas for future videos. Bye!